This is just going to be a short one. I'm going to reach the threshold of subscribers today. So everything's going to change. And I'm going to stop doing these in this way. They're not going to be on Instagram anymore. They're going to be on YouTube. And it's because last night I did an interview on another podcast. So the word is out. And I don't need to rely on y'all anymore. The whole thing, right, is to release the ego, for lack of a better word. And I can only play the flute, right, when I do that. And so it's an interesting exercise. This thing will only let you play it if you're not there, or if you're not trying to be there. A friend of mine gave me this book, and it's fascinating. It's about the Aztec tradition, and they call it the Mexica, right? That's where the word Mexico comes from, but Aztec, they never called themselves the Aztecs. That's the Spanish thing that they did. And so there's this tradition, right, called the Tezcatlipoca tradition. And it's an empirically based science that the Aztecs had in their possession. And since they did have a record, right, the Aztec calendar stone, you know, that giant stone that they unearthed in like the 1700s, and they had turned it upside down and buried it, right, to keep it a secret. And that's what they did. Their knowledge, right, it's like scientific. And so this book is written by a PhD biologist that was also trained in the tradition. And she made the correlation, right, to things such as, right, the Mexica calendar is an impressive accomplishment, a cryptogram with layers upon layers of information encoded in it, even layers of information that the Mexica people did not have the modern technology to discover when they made it, right? It's not, what that says there is that they didn't know they had it. They just, from our perspective, they shouldn't know this shit that is encoded in this document, right? And it's all right there. It's a timekeeper plus a lot more, so much more. But, right, such as, right, so the knowledge that they had, that we think that there's no way that they could have, is there, right? Such as the molecules at the heart of the chemistry of life, DNA and amino acids. How is that possible? The Dogon tribe in Africa has their knowledge, whether they actually know it or not, actually encodes quantum mechanics and astronomy. The Sirius star system has a brown dwarf, right? So it's not observable, right? But in the Dogon tribe, they know about the brown dwarf from in the Sirius star system, right? It's a binary system, right? Where an active star is in um, is orbiting a brown dwarf and vice versa, right? So they know that shit, and they actually know all this other stuff too. That from our perspective, it's impossible, and people who study it are blown away, and then people who find out about it don't believe it, right? And so it's the same with this. Even Mexican people, right? Even Mexican natives, right? Native Indians can't believe it, right? When they find out about it. And so this tradition, which is I'm going to read, right? The tradition understands that the universe was originally a tiny speck of pure, highly concentrated energy, which is called Teotl in the Nahuatl language of Mexico. Teotl gives rise to a single but polarized energy called Ometeotl, two energies interpreted as duality, right? And so that is the cosmology of the pre-dynastic, pre-dynastic Egyptians, right? It's the same thing, which basically says that all of creation comes from a point and then two circles, right? The duality, and then that is produced again to create four, right? And then eight, and then so you have the seed of life, and then the flower of life, right? And this is the sacred geometry. From the flower of life, all of the Platonic solids, geometry itself comes from, right? Is derivable from that pattern. And so that's what they're saying too, right? Is that it begins with one and goes to two, and which in turn gives rise to two fully differentiated energies, which are the primordial feminine and the masculine, right? So this is amazing because I haven't even read this paragraph yet, and the next episode of the podcast is about the principle of gender, right? Which these Hermetic principles are from the Egyptian cosmology, the pre-dynastic. I like to say it like that because even the Upper Egypt is too late for this shit, and so it's like the creation, right, of everything, right? This is what I want to talk about in the next episode, and hopefully I'm going to get a heavy-hitting guest. It seems like I am female, because we ascribe all of this human sensibilities to these words, right? And remember, right, that the word is not the thing, right? And so we attach all this emotion and everything to these words, and it's not the thing, right? And there's no way to approach these concepts, and they are concepts, right? They're thoughts, right? They are, right? That is the catch-22, is that how do you have a thought, right? How do you not think when thinking is how you visualize, and how do you not speak about something? How do you not, if the word is not the thing, then how do you talk about it, right? So it's this self-reference, this peculiar aspect of being conscious and sentient, right? And it's the overcoming of that paradox, right, that will permit us to make this transition. And so it's important to talk about, right? The primordial feminine, the Omet Zewato, and the masculine, the Omet Kehutu, energies. These two energies differentiate into two energies each. The feminine energy gives rise to energies of fire in the mouth, which is also interpreted as natural instinct, right? intuition, and the Tetzatl-Poka, the black smoky mirror, or the search for consciousness, right? So the original masculine gives rise to the energies of Quetzalcoatl, right, beautiful serpent, and Huitzilopochtli, left-winged hummingbird, or force of will. These 8 primordial energies are 8, right, the seed of life, are the blueprint that is encoded in the center of the Mexica calendar. So it's a fractal, right? And the flower of life is a fractal, self-repeating pattern. So this was a short video. You're the one who gets to get it live. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. But we'll see what happens. Because now shit's gonna get real. So we'll see y'all later.